Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're reviewing the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax 32 Finals. And I know that was a mouthful. The G1 Climax has been absolutely amazing this year. We'll talk about that as we go through. If you haven't seen any of my shows before, I rate everything on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Let's jump right in with the first match of the show. We have Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto, and Tomohiro Ishii going up against Dick Togo, Sho, Yujiro Takahashi, and Evil, representing the House of Torture. Obviously, the first group of guys representing Chaos. This was a quality opener. I enjoy these, and I say this a lot. There's a lot of people that don't like the multi-man matches in New Japan. However, I enjoy them. I like how they weave the storylines in. There was a lot of the normal House of Torture shenanigans, kind of, to steal a phrase from Chris Jericho, they're the sports entertainers in New Japan Pro Wrestling. This was a decent opener. I like these. They get the fans excited, and they can weave, like I said, they weave the storylines into these multi-man matches where it's not just a throwaway, not just a card filler. You get to see, obviously, Yo and Sho, who are going to be enemies forever, coming off of the breakup of Roppongi 3K, Chaos, and a Bullet Club or House of Torture. And I don't know if House of Torture is technically still in Bullet Club or out. They're kind of in a limbo. I guess they're Bullet Club by affiliation at this point. The Chaos team picks up the win. Yoshihashi, Goto, and Ishii. I'm going to give this match a 3. I thought it was a good way to start the show. Really enjoyed it. Next up, we got representing TMDK, Bad Dude Tito and Jonah, going up against representing Team Filthy, Royce Isaacs and Tom Lawler. This was basically your contingencies from New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong. Jonah and Tom Lawler both had fantastic runs through the G1 and proved that their spots were not a wasted spot, that they deserved to be there. I definitely expect both to come back next year, and maybe even Bad Dude Tito to be part of it next year. Royce Isaacs is probably going to be part of the World Tag League with him and Jarrell Nelson, especially with all the work they've been doing in New Japan Strong as a West Coast Wrecking Crew. This was a really good match. I really enjoyed this. Tito and Jonah pick up the win for TMDK. I'm giving this match a 4. Next up, we have representing the United Empire, Aaron Hanari, Jeff Cobb, and Great-O-Khan, going up against representing Bullet Club, Chase Owens, Juice Robinson, and Bad Luck Fale. You had the undercurrent, and this is what I mean talking about storylines, of Cobb and O'Khan or Owens and Fale going on to challenge for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. These two being the two most recent, other than FTR, who are the current champions, the two most recent IWGP Tag Team Champions. And then, of course, you got which faction is more dominant. Both Bullet Club and United Empire have had a lot of success this year and have pushed to the top, where it could be argued that these two factions are the two biggest factions in New Japan now. The United Empire team of Hanare, Cobb, and O'Khan pick up the win here. I'm giving this one a 3. I thought it was good. Next up, we have representing LIJ, Bushi, Naito, and Sonata, going up against Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Lance Archer. Lance Archer, another guy. And Naito, too. Naito had a fantastic G1. I kind of was rooting for him to win it the whole way through. I know he has said that this may be his last year in wrestling. I hope it's not. I know that some of the injuries are starting to catch up with him. I was hoping for Naito to be in the Wrestle Kingdom main event if it is going to be his last Wrestle Kingdom. the guy definitely deserves it. Lance Archer absolutely was amazing in the G1 Climax. It's going to be hard for AEW to push him to the back burner coming off of this, and if they continue to do so, just let him go back to Japan, because let him go back to New Japan, because he's presented here. This is the way that Lance Archer should be presented, and it's kind of a shame, and I know I'm going off on a tangent. In AEW, he's looked at as kind of an afterthought. He should have by now at least been a tag team champion or a TNT champion. I'm not saying he has to be the world champion in AEW, but come on, he can't just be the guy that's beat to build credibility. He is more than that, and this G1 run has proven that. The Suzuki Goon team picks up the win. Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Lance Archer. I'm giving this one a 3 again. I thought it was another good match. Next up, we have another team representing LIJ, Shingo and Hiromu Takahashi going up against El Fantasma and Kento representing Bullet Club. Again, LP, another guy that had a fantastic run. Shingo, Kenta not so much. Kenta had a little bit of a disappointing run through the G1, not match quality wise, but overall standings wise. Kenta, I expected Kenta to do a little bit better with the way they've been promoting his book. I don't know if maybe they don't quite trust him with coming off of the injury to carry more than he did. He did look great, he just didn't have such a great outcome. I almost called him House of Torture. The Bullet Club tandem of LP and Kenta pick up the win. This is one of my favorite matches of the show. I'm giving this one a 4. Next up, we have David Finlay and Tanahashi going up against the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, or Luke Gallows, or whatever Gallows he's going by now, Gallows Pole. I enjoyed this match again. You have the underlying current of, with the Finlay and Tanahashi picking up the win. Can they challenge for the Impact Tag Team Championships? Can one of them challenge now? Will one of them challenge now for the Never Openweight Championship? Again, another storyline being woven into this tag team match. And I just said it, Finlay and Tanahashi pick up the win. Another fantastic match. I'm giving this one a 4 as well. Next up in the semi-main event, we have Kushida and Tama Tonga going up against Jay White and Ishimori. This being them being of the Bullet Club. Tama Tonga, to me, out of everybody in the G1, Tama Tonga has raised his level, has elevated his stock, whatever you want to say about it, his standing in the company. He has become way more important running through the G1, winning his block of the tournament, beating Jay White in the process, conquering some of the demons of Bullet Club kicking him out. This was a fantastic run for Tama Tonga. This was a good match as well. Kushida and Tama Tonga pick up the win. Kushida pins Ishimori, which again I think will go on to him challenging for the Junior Championship. I'm giving this one a 3. I thought it was a really good match. Next up, we have the finals of the G1 Climax 32. Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay. I rather enjoyed this match. This is by far my favorite match of the night, and they gave him the time, and how could it not be? You have Kazuchika Okada, who at this point has solidified himself as a top 10 wrestler in the history of wrestling, not just Japan, not just in this generation, in wrestling history. You got to start talking about Okada up there with the Ric Flairs of the world, up there with the whoever you might want to say, the Kenta Kobashis of the world. Whoever you put in your top 10, Okada needs to be there as well, because he is definitely that guy. He is consistently putting on great matches, he's consistently winning accolades, carrying New Japan Pro Wrestling, carrying the company, and it doesn't feel stale. Will Ospreay has definitely gotten to the point where he is, if not one of the top 2 or 3 guys in New Japan, right there knocking on that door. Him, Jay White, Okada, Tanahashi still, because how can you not have Tanahashi be one of the top guys? I mean, he's much like Okada, he's gotten into that conversation where he's a top 10 wrestler all time as well. This was a fantastic main event. I kind of expected it to go the different way, especially with how heavy they were leaning on Ospreay only having 1 win against Okada. I kind of expected them to give Ospreay his win here, but I guess Okada winning, I mean, it's the old reliable kind of, and not that that's no knock to Okada. I believe they're going to the G1, or not the G1, the Wrestle Kingdom next year is going to be the culmination of their 50 years of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And if you're going to go out with a guy representing 50 years of New Japan being in the main event, it's going to be Okada. I'm giving this match a 5. I thought it was fantastic. Again, some of my highlights, and if you haven't watched any of the tournament, I would definitely go back and watch a lot of this. A lot of guys stood out really well. Lance Archer, Tama Tonga, Jonah. Jay White had an awesome run through the tournament. Okada, of course. Okada's just Okada. It was a very, very good G1 Climax this year. I like this format, the four different brackets. It gives us a little bit more space in between the matches, so it doesn't feel like when we got to the end of the G1 that everybody was worn out and everybody was tired. You had a little bit of rest periods between everybody's matches, and it gave us a little bit more unpredictability with there being 4 different brackets. This was a really fun G1 this year. It was really good to watch it all the way through. I rather enjoyed it. I loved every second of it. Okada picking up the win for the 4th time. Wow. Like I said, how can you deny this guy as being one of the greats of all time at this point? I mean, he's just proven it year after year, match after match. He's carrying New Japan. Not that he has to carry New Japan, because there's great talent all the way up and down the card, but he has taken New Japan and made it his company. He is so far ahead of everybody else in the world, and this is no knock to anybody, whether you love, Roman Reigns, whether you love Kenny Omega. Kazuchika Okada is on a level that's above those guys. And it's no knock. I love both of them. I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan. I'm a big Roman Reigns fan. Okada is on that Ric Flair level. Okada's the main guy. If you want to talk about the best wrestler in the world, you cannot talk about it without bringing up Kazuchika Okada. With all that being said, please smash that like button, share the video, subscribe if you haven't, and if you made it all the way to the end, give me a rainmaker in the comments for Kazuchika Okada. My name is George Coles, and this has been my review of the G1 Climax 32 Finals.